Today I want to talk about what to say and how to act when someone tries to outshine you. So have you ever heard the statements like, "Oh, you ran a 4K, that's cute, I just signed up for an Ironman." Or something like, "You closed a deal? Nice, I landed 3 new clients before lunch." Or something like, "You read that book? I actually met the author twice." Sound familiar? I think we've all been there. You're sharing a moment of pride or maybe a fun story, and bam, someone swoops in to outdo you, to outshine you, and to outsmart you. Enter in the topper. They're the one-uppers. They're the humble, bragging artists. They're the human megaphone of their own accomplishments. The one that needs that pat on the back and someone to tell them how awesome they are. Unfortunately, I know many people that are like this. But what do you do when someone always tries to look better, to look smarter, or to be more important than you are? You may be triggered or maybe just really ticked off. However, how you respond is in your control. So let's break it down with a little psychology, a splash of strategy, and maybe a little humor. So why do they do it anyway? Hint here, it's not always about you, and most of the time it's not. So according to research published from the Journal of Personal and Social Psychology, people often engage in self-enhancement to protect their self-image, especially in competitive or insecure environments. So that topper at work, they might just be trying to mask their own self-doubt and fear, or the possibility of being totally irrelevant, right? So, in fact, a study from the University of Michigan found that 75% of workplace braggers are actually perceived as less competent and likable over time, even if their accomplishments are real. So the good news is you're not imagining it, and you're probably not the only one that's rolling their eyes. So what do you say in these situations that you feel like are like a conversational jujitsu? Rather than calling them out or going toe-to-toe, and as tempting as that might be, try these subtle power moves. Something like, "That's awesome. You must have learned a lot doing that." This is something you could say to acknowledge their story without giving up your spotlight. It also can redirect the conversation to learning and not ego. So it's not ego on your side and it's not ego on theirs, right? A second thing you can try is saying something like, "Wow, we've both had some great wins lately." That's a gentle nudge that your accomplishments also matter without looking combative. A third thing you could say is, "I'd love to hear more about that later. Right now, I'm just sharing." This one is firm but respectful. It sets a boundary, especially if they hijacked the conversation, which most of the time, I think you would agree with me, that's exactly what happens, right? It's important to not only know what to say, but also how to act. Confidence is quiet. So this topper behavior, it can trigger our inner competitors, but reacting with a calm, quiet, and confidence in your voice, in your demeanor, in the way you act, that can really be your secret weapon. Oh, please excuse my voice today. So why is that? Because true confidence doesn't need a spotlight. According to a study published in Harvard Business Review, leaders who display humble confidence which is listening more than they speak. They acknowledge others, and they are rated 38% more effective than self-promoters. So let them keep self-promoting themselves. People are just rolling their eyes and know that they're strange, know that they're not important, even though they may feel like they are. So instead of trying to win the noise war, own the room with presence, not performance. So make eye contact. Speak at a measured pace, maybe a slower pace. Don't rush to fill the silence. Silence is powerful. And when they brag, smile like you've heard bigger. So a power thought here is to keep in your back pocket by thinking the loudest person in the room is often the weakest one. So that was a phrase by Frank Lucas. And yes, Denzel Washington made it also iconic in American Gangster. So think about that. The loudest person in the room is often the weakest. The people who are screaming the loudest are the ones that are trying to get attention for one way, shape, or form, but they're not getting what they want. So that makes them look weak, believe it or not. So let them be loud. You just keep being confident, keep being effective, and being calm. And that's the most important thing, because it doesn't get to your head, doesn't get to your heart, doesn't get your emotions all crazy. The bottom line here of what's important is when someone constantly tries to look better or smarter than you, don't compete, stay curious, redirect with grace, hold your ground, know your value isn't up for negotiation. That's most important, because you are you and there's only one of you, and whatever you experience, whatever you feel, whatever you think is valuable, and it's all about you sometimes. So because at the end of the day, the most magnetic people aren't the ones who shout the loudest, but they're the ones who make others feel seen, heard, and valued. And guess what? That's you. So if you enjoyed this content and you found it valuable, please consider sharing. Please consider subscribing. My apologies for my voice today, and we will see you on the next video.